WACA-TV kitchen for another episode of What's Really Going On with your two co-hosts, Jim Hanna and Julie Nardone. We are neighbors on Elliott Street, and we started this program so that the people of Ashland could get all the information they need. What I've been observing lately, and we'll see what Jim says, is that the information seems to be being framed at the top and coming down from the top. And I'm concerned that I'm talking to people and everyone is using the same sentences, lingo, language. There's no diversity. And it's troubling me. Jim, what do you think?
I have a problem which I believe is something that is leaving the community out of the issues. I go to meetings, I go to even meetings that they have for special subject matters when they have them. And it seems that the town is not interested in the management and government of the town. I don't know whether it's because they're not alive with the people, they're simply alive with themselves. So I'm having difficulty wondering if a program like this is either not effective or more effective than we ever imagined, because I continue to get told how well we're doing and what we're doing is well for them, but I don't see the reaction on the street. So maybe we have to continue to do it even more deeper than we do to get this really into what's going on in your town.
That sounds great, Jim, and that's what we're going to do today. We have three topics. The rail transit district, topic number 1. Water, topic number 2. And I don't know if you can pick up on this, people, but it is raining like cats and dogs and zebras and octopuses and elephants out there. I think we're getting probably 2 feet of water.
And we're loving it because the reservoir is filling up.
Yeah, the reservoir is overflowing. Okay. And our third topic will be the override. Okay, so we're going to start with this rail transit district. Jim and I went to a couple of meetings. One meeting, we were just sitting there. We didn't even know that this is how bad the communication is. We're waiting for them to start talking about the rail transit district, and it just never happens. And it's like 7:30, 8, 8:15. Till I asked somebody and they said, oh, it was canceled at the beginning of the meeting or something. But, we didn't know that, so we drove down there. And, it was of concern. Okay, so we kept looking at the agendas, and then we saw it on there again. So we went down to the meeting, and it was at 6:30. I got up and I asked some questions on community participation. I asked about the water, that it's gone up 14% in 2013, then 2012, then 10% in 2013, and then another 14% in 2014. And I wanted to know, why. And honestly, I asked the question and I did not get a satisfactory answer. The answer to me wasn't really the answer. And so I'm still trying to find out why the water rates went up. So anyways, then the rail transit district came up, and they were going to sign some agreements, and then the planning board was coming in later. So they were, talking about all the different stuff, and then they were starting to take a motion. They were going to make a motion. And this is a public-private partnership, and Jim and I are going to talk about that, because it was a public-private partnership. But when me, a member of the public, went up to the mic, I said, is the public going to be able to comment? And it was like, they reluctantly let me speak because I was up there. But then the whole time I was up there, I was made to feel like I was, interrupting the process, and that I was just a pest. And I had some important questions. So I guess Jim and I should talk about this rail transit district thing is suddenly a public-private partnership. And
Well,
where did this come
Julie,
from?
I think that this is a good example of, we did go to a meeting. We did see how our leadership acts. We see how they coordinate or don't coordinate it between themselves. And when you walk away from that hearing, you'll come to the conclusion that the town manager has more to say than any other member in that room, especially the Board of Selectmen, or in this case, the Planning Board. They were sort of being steered into what decision that they wanted to haul in.
Yeah.
And I found it annoying, even when a member of the Board of Selectmen was talking to the town manager about the fact that the Mass Waterworks, they're trying to gather approval on, had a statement from the the governor of the state, that they could no longer go any further than the 30th of November of this year, or all the 6 million or some form of 6 million or something or other is not going to occur, and they're going to cancel the program, because this has been in existence for quite a while.
Yeah.
Well, the member of the selectmen tried to talk to the manager about this, and he said, no, there's a new extension coming out sooner or later, but let's not talk about that now, because what we're going to be talking about is approving it. And I said to myself, that's like putting the cart before the horse again.
Yeah.
But yet that's the way it went. The member of the selectmen sort of, okay, he wasn't happy with the answer he got, but he's not yet trained to realize that he has a role which can tell the manager anytime he wants to that perhaps I don't like what you're saying and I want it changed. But that hasn't happened yet. So consequently, they went through the jibber-jibber. They jumped up and down. They talked about situations like in the covenant that they first initially developed in 2000.
Covenant number 1.
Now imagine, I'm saying 2000, that's about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That thing got approved, got deeded, and then the economy fell apart. And consequently, they stopped it, and they reactivated the same position in 2008. Except when they came back to reactivate it, there were a couple things missing that were in 2000. One of the things in 2000 that was very interesting was they were going to build a water treatment plant.
Water sewer treatment plant.
That's in the district. They were going to put a water treatment plant in as part of the state's contribution to the water-weary Ashland. Well, guess what? That disappeared.
Just disappeared. Poof.
Just went away. Oh, and to enhance that first decision back in 2000, they were going to put a golf course in. Imagine a golf course in Ashland. Holliston's got one. Hopkins got one.
Natick's got one.
Ashland doesn't have one. We were going to have. Well, I like that one.
The first golf course.
That was dessert on the decision to do that. But of course, in 2008, that disappeared too. But nobody seemed to remember the changes, and they were not talking about the changes, and all of a sudden, this new one comes up, and now we're asking the questions, and they have all decided, or most of them have decided that we're going to go this way. And with an override coming up and a few other things to bake the cake, I think we should be very careful and diligent to ourselves and to our fellow members of town to pay attention to what costs this may bring to the town that you don't know about. So that's why we're here, and we're going to try and gather your attention if we can to pay attention to this.
Yeah, one thing was when I managed to steal my way up to the podium, and I asked about the water, I said, well, this plan originally called for a water sewer treatment plant. When I said that, everyone, not everyone, but most everyone kept saying to me, oh no, you're wrong, it was never in there, that's not right. And I go, well, yeah, it was in there, because I've got the document and I read it. And people kept saying, no, it's not in there, not right. And I'm like, you know, this is very upsetting as a citizen. I come to a meeting, I ask a question, I've got the document. Jim's got the document. Jim, do you have the document with you?
Yes, I don't.
I mean, there's a section right in there, or Jim's got a lot of documents.
Yeah, I can show you the document.
Yeah, there's a section right in there that talks about it. Yet everyone in this room that's been looking at these three documents
they're here.
kept telling me that
the first covenant, yes.
That it wasn't in there. So, you know, that's, you know, I really wish those things would not happen. Then, now this is interesting, all of a sudden in the middle of it was the first discussion, because then the planning board came in and then they were going to have a double signing. I don't know what you call that. All of a sudden the management announced that we would have I think it was $650,000 warrant article for forced water main in this area. And we had been told this wasn't going to cost us a dime. No. So then I think one of the selectmen said, well, is it for this project? And then they were told, oh, no, it's not for this project. But it was brought up in the context of this discussion on this project. So again, I don't know what this is, but 600, because I said, you know, everyone seems to be talking, but not talking about the override. We're talking about it, but shh, we're not talking about it. We're pretending we're not talking about it, even though we're talking about it. You know, you're telling us we need an override, and then you want to put this $650,000 thing for this water main.
Well, Julie.
Again, confusing.
I think what you're driving home is they either didn't want to talk about it, or they didn't want to talk about it like it was in this or not in this. It was just a matter of a sum of money needed to lay out this forced main before it's used. In other words, if you're going to dig a hole in the ground, you might as well put two pipes in it rather than one. Well, on the surface, that appears to be a reasonable idea if you were going to do a second one.
Yeah, if you needed the second thing.
But we're convinced that the town does not need the MWRA in the first place, because we've got the water source that can take care of that.
Well, this was a confusing question because I wasn't sure if it was water or sewer. It sounded to me like it was, I thought it was sewer. But again, these conversations,
it could be.
These conversations, we're in the audience, and you're sitting there, and these conversations are they're very convoluted, and they're all kind of murky, and you know, and we were not given this is something else I want to talk about. We were not given a copy of the covenant that they were talking about. And when I go to Hopkinton and the Board of Selectmen are talking about anything, they've got PDFs with links to the PDF of everything they're talking about. So the people go to the meetings informed. We're all sitting in the audience. You know, we're listening, trying to, you know, we're getting little snippets of conversation, trying to put it together in our own minds in the audience. You know, when we can ask a question, which is very rare, you know, it's like, why are the people of this town left out of the information loop? Okay, that's all I have to say.
Well,
Jim?
but another thing is they were making a statement about this 680,000 or whatever, 100,000 it is, but they don't realize that is a sum of money that's going to appear on the town's liability chart early on, like before the override is finished or even considered to be finished, and would have to be included as a town cost in the override position. And they don't even mention the fact that that's an additive to the current, but of course we don't have enough information on the current to know that it's going to go in there and drive the override into a position of acceptance. And that's something that we have to consider and let the people know about.
Yeah, and if you don't know about this project, and I don't know if everyone knows about it, but it's 398 apartments down the Dunkin' Donuts Road, and then another I think it's 250 or, yeah, around 250 townhouses. And then there's another third parcel that people kept labeling commercial. And they were talking about the commercial, and just to be clear, the number of students that would be coming through the apartments would, the property tax, and they kept throwing, here's another thing, they kept throwing 700,000 out. Where does that number even come from? But anyways, that was the number being tossed out. But in an earlier meeting, one of the other Board of Selectmen said that wouldn't even cover the schools. We'd be, another 100, 700,000.
Well.
So then the other thing was everyone kept talking about this commercial area. And I got up and talked about it. And again, I was kind of, shooed away. And because I said, I just don't know what kind of commercial is going to go away in there in the belly of this area. Everyone going in and out of this one road onto, stop and go, stop traffic. And later, after the developer got up, he was asked, and he said, maybe a supermarket. But he even said, this is a tough area to get much of anything in. That's not a convenience.
If you know the town, the only two access routes they have are coming down McGunkle Road as it gets extended into the project, and there is a little cutway in Cherry Street at the top of the hill, which could be an entrance back into the backside of that operation, other than coming right from the rail district. Mm-hmm. But it's blocked off. It's very short and small. Whenever he said probably a market, or a 58,000 foot grocery store of some...
55,000 square feet.
For God's sakes, the last thing we need is another grocery store in the woods.
And a pharmacy.
Yeah.
So we would just be surrounded by pharmacies.
Well, let's work on, we've been shooting holes in this one.
Okay.
Let's move on.
All right, we're going to move on to the water. And Jim went to a meeting where he announced that he had a document that said that the Spring Street wells were fine, and they wanted to see said document. And Jim produced said document.
Yes.
And Jim, why don't you just tell us a little bit about what the document said?
When the town meeting was over, the town sort of got shoved into having a warrant that would seek the interest of the town to join the MWRA. And my argument with that was you were not treating in the best interest of the town. They should have included any other water source that may be usable. They closely avoided the Spring Street well. So it got voted down because some of the money that was going to be distributed there might have helped somebody, but nevertheless it won. And that's the way it went. Now they're out there seeking not only how to become a member of but what's the cost going to be, and I want to make sure that they do it correctly. So I went home and dug into my fog bank, and I come up with 3 documents starting in 2005 and continuing on 2007 and commencing sometime around 2010. And they were documents from the DEP, who was managing the water clearing activity at the well site, had declared in 2005 that the Ashland water was clear and clean and ready to go, and they put it at a phase 5 level, which says you could go right into your infrastructure that's already there. You could tie onto the pipes and start shooting the water around. That was in 2004 and 5. All they needed was the permission to go. Ashland never gave it to them. Ashland complained about having a water problem in 2007, but they never complained. They never talked to the DEP. And finally, the DEP came back again and asked, "What are you doing?" He says, "You've taken so long to open that up. Now you got to go back and do a few tests and make sure that the water is kept its level of cleanliness." And Ashland never did anything again. 2010 or 11, or recently, they were scolded because they have not responded to anybody regarding the want of that particular water source. And just to make it clear, it has a water capacity, as proven by DEP in their testing, that it has a water quantity of about 650,000 gallons a day, which is equal to what the current, almost equal to what the current source is putting out. And when you can have two sources like that in your town, one pumping and one resting, or two half pumping and resting, you've got a pretty good deal going for you. And the water itself is free with less whatever kind of chemicals they have to put it in, and there's no fluoride. Just so happens that Ashland has voted out fluoride in their water system, but the town doesn't seem to remember any of that. So they want to jump into the MWRA before they have to clear the Board of Health and the bylaws that restrict any activity without approval by the Board of Health and the town to clear its restrictions on fluoride. So I told them I had all the documents. I made them up in one package because I only wanted to keep one package, and I gave it to a member of the Board of Selectmen, and I said, here, bring that through your group so they can understand, for the best interest of the town, that there is another source, that there's a water committee that they've assigned to come out and come back with an answer that says MWRA has to consider the Spring Street well as an option to everybody, especially as far as the costs are concerned. And that is in process. I made no other than one copy because I was afraid if I made more than one, they'd get out and disappear, and people would start making all kinds of corrections and uncorrections. And I just wanted them to see it, but they all came from DEP.
Okay, and I want to say one final thing, because a lot of the public meetings, it was being stated that we couldn't, one of the reasons we had to do this connection was that we were going to be denied another emergency connection, denied, because we've asked for so many. We had one people, and then we had another premature one that was asked for way too soon, which really bothers me. And of course it rained and nothing ever happened. But this is the MWRA document, and they literally go up to just in this document alone, they go up to 16 water emergencies with a little structure. Yeah, a little structure. So that we were being told going into panic mode after one is just, it's all part of this, everything being framed a certain way, that in a democracy we need lots of voices, lots of opinions, and lots of thoughts. Okay, we're gonna spend our last 5 minutes, unless Jim, you have something else to say about water.
I do.
Oh, we're gonna talk about the override.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? Because we got
yes.
4 minutes now.
Okay.
Got 4 minutes.
Well, we're going to talk about the override.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the override that is not being called an override.
It's again, I try to gather information. I'm not so much trying to direct anyone as to how they should do things, but I just bring information forward, and I let them see that so they can make their own judgments. But we've gone through the override, and there's about 4 or 5 sessions.
Yeah.
I went to 2, and I knew I had enough of that because it was all the same thing. They just all talked about this and that, but they never talked about any numbers.
No numbers.
They had their numbers that put Ashland in a position where we were falling behind something.
Yeah, it looked
like the cost per unit.
It looked like this.
Yeah.
But no numbers, just
so consequently, we were driving ourselves into an area where we were having more expenditure than income, and that's called a structural override.
Structural deficit.
And I'm almost 80 years old, and that's the first. I always call it an override, but it was structural. Put some body to it. And anyways, I just grabbed a piece of paper that came to my house because someone sent it to me, and it says, per pupil expenditure comparisons. Area towns, FY14, per pupil expenditures, and I'm down here, and the towns of Millis, Medway, Franklin, Bellingham, Holliston, Medfield, Hopkinton, Ashland, and Westwood were all within the distance of playing football. So I guess they're pretty close. Well, this is a per pupil cost. currently 2014. Ashland is second from the top.
From the top.
$13,271 per pupil. We never saw any number like that that's been given to us by the current administration in all the number curves and all where Ashland and the pupils are and this kind of stuff. Nothing like that. We're higher than Hopkinton and we're higher than Holliston. And they are both higher than us on the achievement level, on the MCAS level for the kids that are being educated. We're third in that risk. And so that was something we just had. I just want you to say that there is nothing so far in the override presentations that have done anything to make anyone concerned about it.
Yeah, no numbers. I just want to say one thing. We're almost out of time here. I noticed that, because I went to one, if you go to these meetings and they're only presenting information that supports an override, no matter what they say. But what I noticed when people from the audience got up, and overwhelmingly people were not for the override, I have to say that. From what I observed, and I watched them all on TV, if they presented information that did not support the override, they were like scolded or talked down to. It was very weird. I was at one meeting where I saw something where someone got up and had put this whole graph together, and they were just really talked down to in a very, very uncomfortable way, and I did not have a good feeling about that. Okay, so we are coming to the end of our show, and anyone who wants to send us anything, you can send us an email at what'sreallygoingon@mail.com. We want to thank WACA-TV, as usual, for helping us put on this fabulous show that is for the people.
And don't forget the people have been who are growing into this program with us.
They're with us.
Are making great questions, and they're even going off and acting like us now at the meetings, and that's a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. So anyways, we hope you have a fabulous, I don't know, 3.5 weeks till we're back here again.
Have a dry weekend.
Yeah, dry. And have a great week.
God bless the rain. The reservoir is full.